I've had several people ask me to make a short of a summary of this as I can. So for those that want to see the whole video, the original one, I will provide a link to that. This is about the Yaupon Cove Property Owners Association and my interpretation of the deed restrictions and bylaws and the law that I've looked up in the law books with the state of Texas, speaking to attorneys and various other sources. Again, this is my opinion and interpretation. I'm not a lawyer. I cannot offer you legal advice. You should seek your own legal advice from a licensed attorney about this matter, and it's important that you do so if you can. First of all, Section 4 of the bylaws says the association shall enforce the covenants, this to include the taking of necessary and appropriate legal steps to enforce the original covenants, as well as such amendments or alterations as may be added from time to time. They have failed to do this. They selectively enforce the deed restrictions. A pattern can be showed going back as long as I've been here, which is a little over 10 years. And if you can show that pattern, you can, in court, invalidate the deed restrictions and make them completely unenforceable. Let's go down to Article 5. Boop-a-doop-boop-boo. Here we go. Article 5, Section 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 state that these committees are to exist so that certain matters can be dealt with the POA and dealing with the residents and all. If these committees exist, I'm unaware of it. They haven't sent me any information. They haven't sent any of the more than 20 property owners that I have spoke to this information, so legally they're supposed to provide all this information. They haven't. They failed to do so. So again, if these committees exist, who the hell knows about them? I don't know. Let's move on to Article 7, right here. Article 7, Section 3, Procedure 3. Assuming the business meets the requirements of Section 3 above, a special membership meeting shall be arranged sufficiently far in advance that all members shall have at least 30 days advance notice of such a meeting. Each member shall receive a clearly defined explanation of the purpose of that meeting. Procedure 4, a quorum to act upon such matters shall constitute 51% of the members of the organization. This will include proxy votes, absentee ballots, plus eligible qualified members present. The total number of these three classifications must equal or exceed 51% of the eligible members. A majority vote shall consist of 60% of the votes cast. So this means when they changed the deed restrictions back in 2010, they were supposed to have a meeting, notify everybody in advance, and under the state law, notify people in writing, either by U.S. mail or by door-to-door hand delivery to the property owner's last known address that's on file with the POA. Then, for the vote to be legitimate, 51% of the members of the organization, this is the property owners, have to cast their vote. Out of that 51% of the votes cast, 60% of that 51% or more that was cast has to vote in favor. If 60% vote in favor, that's the majority. If 60% vote against, that's the majority. So for it to pass, you have to have a 60% vote in favor of the alterations of the deed restrictions. They don't have this because this vote never happened. I was here in 2010. I was a property owner in 2010. And I wasn't notified of any vote. Was anybody else in the mobile home sections notified of this vote? The 20 plus people that I have spoke to said they never heard about any vote. They've never signed anything one way or the other. And it's not attached to these documents. Therefore, their filing is illegal, which allowed the original deed restrictions to expire August 1st, 2010. Therefore, mobile home sections 1 through 7, in my opinion, are no longer members of the Yaupon Cove Property Owners Association and not subject to their deed restrictions. Let's see here. Article 10. Oh, I passed it. Article 10, item G, states that there's a member forum at every meeting. I don't know when they have the meetings. I don't know if they're weekly, monthly, bi-weekly, quarterly. I know they have the annual meeting that they notify everybody about with a sign. And sometimes a letter, maybe a newsletter, that they don't mail out. They put it in the mailbox, and we're supposed to read minds about knowing that it's there. So we're supposed to have a member forum at all meetings. Well, I don't know when the meetings are, so I can't go voice my concern. Do you know where these meetings are, when they are? You ever been invited to one, notified about one? Think about that for just a minute. Let's move on down here to what they're calling the instrument on the bylaws. Here you see that the treasurer at the time, Pat R. Simonson, had to sign this because she's the treasurer. She also notarized the instrument. You cannot, in the state of Texas, under Texas law, you cannot notarize your own document. You can also not notarize a document you're signing. You cannot notarize a document for family. So therefore, that also makes this filing illegal. It's invalid. So we revert to the original deed restrictions that were on file and bylaws, which expired August 1st, 2010. Moving on to the deed restrictions, page 1, paragraph 1, and paragraph 4 both stipulate that the deed restrictions expire August 1st, 2010. So they are, of course, expired. Paragraph 5 on page 1 explains, not in great detail, but explains the procedures for amending or refiling the deed restrictions. This is backed up by the bylaws. This is also backed up by state law, including but not limited to Texas Homeowner Protection Act, which I will provide a link to. It's very extensive. It's some long reading, so not everybody may want to read this. But if you read through it, I'm sure you can find hundreds, if not thousands, of things that the POA has done that's against the law. Over God knows how many years. Let's see. Moving on. It also states in page 1, paragraph 5, like I said, those procedures for renewing. And it mentions that you have to have the majority vote to do this, according to the bylaws and the deed restrictions. And the bylaws define a majority vote as 61% of the 51% or more votes cast by property owners. We didn't have that vote, so again, this filing is illegal. Let's move on to... Let's get down to page 9 here. Yeah, this is page 9. Alright, here we are on page 9. This is what they're considering the signed instrument, which, as I've already explained to you why it's not valid, it is, again, invalidated yet another way because, again, one of the people on the board that signed it is Patricia Simonson, and if we scroll down, she also notarized it. Again, you can't notarize your own document or a document you're signing. So therefore, that would make this illegal. Just because we have this little thing down here at the bottom saying that it's been filed with the county does not make it legal. You can go down to the county courthouse, talk to the county clerk, and you can file most anything. A contract, a lien, a deed. If you want to pay to file it, you can pay to file it. The county is not certifying that it's legitimate, that it's legal. They are just certifying that it is on file with the county. And that's another thing that in my opinion, makes it easier for us to argue that the deed restrictions are invalid because they filed them with the county. They filed them with the county like this, so it's not like they can run and hide and say, well, no, that's not the way it was because we have it right here in black and white. This is the way it is. I'm going to provide a link to the Texas Homeowner Protection Act, which is a law here in the state of Texas, or a set of laws here in the state of Texas. For anybody that wants to go through some heavy reading, you can learn a lot and find hundreds, if not thousands, of violations of the law by the Property Owners Association, by every board that we've had for the last 10 years. Again, I've only been here for a little over 10 years, so some of you may be able to go back further than that. It is, of course, as I've stated, my opinion that the deed restrictions are invalid, therefore making the association, making the mobile home sections not members of the association, which, in my opinion, means that anybody that is on the board or has been on the board since August 1st, 2010 from a mobile home section, their votes have not been legal. Their decisions and their actions have not been legal because they are not members of the association as of August 1st, 2010. This means our current POA president from Mobile Home Section 5 cannot legitimately be the POA president. Unless there's some secret law out there that says that they can do whatever the heck they want to. I haven't heard about that, but wouldn't be surprising with our government. Last but not least, I will again provide links to the deed restrictions and bylaws. If you have any questions, I cannot offer legal advice. I can only answer your questions to the best of my knowledge and give you my interpretation of the law and all this information. You should seek legal counsel if you want it, not from me. I'm sure there's some people out there that's going to see this as a negative thing, that I'm just trying to start problems. I've had one person even comment on Facebook and say, well, you could just move. Well, yes, I could. I actually intend to move. I don't know when. But because of my business, I would like to be along the highway. I don't want to have my business in Yaupon Cove, and that has nothing to do with the people, the deed restrictions, any of that. Just good business states that the closer you are to the highway, the more business you're going to do. So I would prefer to be out on the highway. So eventually we are hoping to move. It may be tomorrow. It may be in 10 years. Who knows? Nobody really knows where any of us will be tomorrow, or especially a year from now. So we need to get this problem resolved now, because the problem is there, and we have to deal with it as long as we live here. And we should not have to deal with this kind of political corruption, whether it's on the local level, the federal level, the state level is irrelevant. Political corruption like this just makes me sick. Sadly, a lot of the higher up corruption we can't do anything about. We can do something about our fake property owners association. Remember, I welcome all comments. Everybody has an opinion. This is America. You're free to express that opinion, whether you agree with me, disagree with me, think I'm an idiot. That's your right as a red-blooded American to have that opinion and share it with everybody else. So leave us a comment. Subscribe to the channel. I'll post some more videos as more information comes in, and from talking to other residents, to try to keep the people that are interested informed. And of course, there will be a link to the long video going into much greater detail about other things that I have come across with the board. But for the most part, I do just want to ask everyone, whether you agree with this, whether you disagree with this, please share it. Every resident of Yaupon Cove has the right to know that all information about these deed restrictions. To my knowledge, most people that bought property in the mobile home sections before 2010 have not seen these deed restrictions. They've seen the prior version of the deed restrictions that have expired because these were improperly filed and never valid. So therefore, only if you bought property after 2010, in my experience so far, have people seen these deed restrictions. I've had a couple of people ask me for copies. Sadly, I can't just afford to give everybody a copy, so I am going to provide links so you can download it and print it yourself if you have a printer, or just download it to your mobile device, your computer, whatever. But again, please share this whether you agree with it or not, because everyone in this subdivision that is a property owner, renter, whatever, has the right to know this information.